Hey, this is Oliver and welcome to a new short tutorial. For a project we're working on, we just need some kind of circular bleed transition with all these nebula, fuzzy, fancy effects going on. And we also can use this effect later for one circular bleed, and we want to play with all these settings. And I'd like to share with you how to do this from scratch because I don't found any fitting stock footage. So I created that in After Effects, and as I said, it's a short one. So let's jump in. I will start from scratch with a new project. Don't save that. So first of all, I need a new composition. You can make it whatever width and height you like to. It should be something around 1000. Could be a square one. Square one. Sorry, cubic one. Cubic one. It means let's make it 1500 by 1500. So whatever you call that. That's fine. So this is a message from the project. It runs good. Okay. So I have 50 frames per second, but you can use the frame rate you like to. And I have it 15 seconds long because this is the duration of the transition. Make a black background and let's call it main. And we're fine with that. Hit OK. So the first thing we need is a new layer. So go to layer, new solid. And let's call that bleed underscore A. Oh, I got the English. Let me go to my German underscore A. So, and color, of course, black, we need that. And OK, OK. And the first thing we need is a mask. So go to the elliptical mask tool. If you don't see it, hold the left mouse button and you can see here the different mask tools. We need the elliptical one. Go to the center of your composition and hold down string and shift. And now you can make a very round, even mask. Okay, this is what we need. The size doesn't matter. You can do it this or smaller or bigger. We will adjust that later on. So, okay, with the bleed layer selected, you go to your effects and presets and you need a turbulent noise. Here we go. And to see what we like to achieve, go to the bleed layer and hit M on the keyboard. And go to the mask feather and feather this out. And we will focus on this edge here. This is the area we like to keep an eye on because this is the area that will later drives the transition. Okay, so I go with 240 pixels. That should make it 240. That's okay. And let's play with the settings of the fractal noise. I don't like the basic one. I like the swirly one. I got this one here. And this looks quite cool here at the edge. Let's play with the contrast and brightness settings. So push it a bit up and the contrast a bit, just a touch. Don't drive that too crazy because we want to do some duplications and combine them together later. So the next thing we like to have, if you scrub down the timeline, nothing happens because there's no animation. And to animate this not 3 times separately, we'd like to put in 2 little expressions, and therefore you go to layer, new adjustment layer. And let's hit return on the keyboard and call that. I'd like to rename that. Select, return, call that control. Here we go. Then go to the control layer and go back to my control layer. And with the control layer selected, go to effects and expression controls. And bring in a slider control and string D on the keyboard to duplicate that slider control. So we need two slider controls. Hit return by the first one, you call that mask. And the second one, selected, hit return on the keyboard, we call that speed. Okay, now we go back and select the bleed A. We go to the effects. Let's first make the mask. Okay, we go to the masks, MM on the keyboard, and hit Alt stopwatch click to get the expression. And now you can select the control layer, and this one is still here. And you got this little pick width tool here, and you drag that all the way up to the mask slider. What this does is now you can control over the slider the bleed. Okay? Perfect. Now let's do some animation. Now we go to the effects, turbulent noise, and we go to the evolution. Let's see. Here we have the evolution. Alt stopwatch click the evolution, and then we type in a little expression. We type in time multiply 100. Okay, now everything starts moving. This is exactly what we want. Maybe we want to change the speed of this animation later. So therefore, you go back to your control so that you can see the speed controller and go all the way down to the evolution. Select the 100. Make sure to select only the 100 and then grab the pick width tool and drag it to the slider speed. Okay, and now you can adjust the speed of all copies we will do next with this control layer. So we go to 100 and the mask is fine for me so far. So select the bleed layer, hit D on the keyboard to duplicate that. You can rename that to bleed B or whatever you like to. I solo that. I like to have some more details here. So therefore, you can change the swirly to smeary. And let's play with the settings. Let's see what we will have here. Let's see how that looks with that together. Maybe we blend that and add that. So important is the edge, okay? Not the center. Center is not important. This area is important. So, or we play with screen. Let's see. Maybe play with the contrast a bit. Yeah, that looks better. And maybe play with the transform settings a little bit. Let's see if we pump that up. I'm going to shrink it down. Got some more detailed things here, but now I don't like to. I like to pump that up. Let's see, a bit more, something like that. Okay, fine. And if you go to the control layer, you can see with the slider, you all control everything together. So that's very cool. So you don't have to animate later all these layers separately. So just use the control layer. And here the copy string D on the keyboard. I rename that. This is bleed C, of course. And let's see what we can do here. It's set to screen. Let's go to, let's try, let me solo that to see what we can have there for. This one looks also very cool, but I think I will go to a linear and we'll go to cloudy. Now let's go to smeary and play with the contrast. Too much, too high, and the brightness something like that. And let's go to the transform settings. Let's scale that all the way up And let's invert that thing. So here we go. You see that little, like some thunder strikes in the nebula, something like that. I like that. This is what I go for. Achieve that, something like that. And again, focus is on here. Let's see. Maybe we should set that to add. Yeah, that looks quite cool. Let's see how this is moving. Yeah, it looks very smoky. Quite cool. Perfect. So next, what I like to do is another adjustment layer, new adjustment layer. And let's see if we can push some details with curves. Here we go. Let's see. Sorry. Don't want to have the RGB. I just want to have this one. Here we go. So as you see, we got this thing here going on to get a bit more detail, a bit more contrast here in the edges. Yeah, that looks quite cool. So the next, to control everything together, to blend everything together, right now we are going here from the control settings. Let's see, we go from here to here and then all the way up. In this case, it fits. You don't need a second blending layer, but if you have different settings, especially I tweaked this one here, or was it? This was the inverted one, right? If you go here like this, then you have here some holes, black holes. So we try to fill that up. So we make another copy of this bleed C string unit keyboard. And what we need is, we'd like to have this one without the turbulence noise and without adding. So we put it normal and now we have it black. So one thing is, you can go with this as a black and white effect. So you can also render this out, because if you control that, you will have only this nebula foggy ring going on, but we like a transition, so we need the white background. So you can go to the bleed C, and this you should remain to fill. This is important because this is the fill layer, and you can do two ways. You can go to the tint and simply tint that fill layer. Here we go, tint, and you can swap the black to white. That can make it. Or you can go to the layer settings and change the color to white. This is the way I'd like to choose that on, so I can get rid of this tint effect. But both ways are fine. Okay, so and now let's animate that. Go to the control layer. I go to the mask slider and bring this all the way down. Something around 500 should make it. So everything's gone. We have a black comp. Hit the stopwatch. I'd like to have this bleed over 10 seconds. Go to 10 seconds and bring this way up until it fits the screen. It fills the screen. Something about around 600 should make it. And here we have the bleed transition. So one thing that is very important, because the white fill layer follows the same rules like these layers. And we need a little more gap between this fuzzy edges, or we like to have a bit more gap. This is up to you, but if you also like to have a little gap, hit UU on the keyboard, and then you see the expression of the mask expansion. And we like to shrink that down by, let's say, 200. And now you see you get a bit more details here around. You can play with the settings as you like, but make sure to decrease the white fill layer a little bit, because otherwise the edges are not so straight forward. Okay? Now, this is the transition, and you can use that for any future work. And let's render this out, and then let's play around and have fun with the footage. So we exported this already and bring the mask back into, or the footage back into our project. Here we go. This is what we rendered out. Looks quite cool. So let's get rid of these all these layers. We don't need that. And we bring in the footage we'd like to do the bleed wipe effect. So that could be, I go with this this image. It could be a video, another composition, whatever. And let's make a new composition. I make it in this case HD. HD. Where are we? Let me type this in. 1920, 1080, 50 frames, 15 seconds. For showcasing, that's enough. Hit OK. I bring in my footage. Here we go. Let me scale it down. Something like so. Perfect. And put the bleed on top of that. So this is what we go. As you see, we don't have the full size. Let's scale it up. Something like that. And change the moon TIFF to bleed and to luma matte. And then you can go from here to here. Or if you invert that, you can go from here to here. Okay, so this is quite simple. If that fits your needs, everything's fine. You don't have to do anything more. But the fun part is to play with the transition. So first of all, I changed it back so that we come from here to here. And let's make a copy of this bleed one and switch it on and solo that. And the first thing you can do is play around with the edges. So with the effects and presets, you can type in edges, but first we need the curves. We need some curves, and we need the edges. We need the find edges thing. Okay, so first of all, let's invert that thing. So this is what we have so far. As you see, it's very detailed. And if you put that on top, simply change the blend mode to add and unsolo that. This is what you get here. You get these white, like some kind of, I don't know what this looks like. Some kind of, yeah, fluffy, smeary, whatever. So this brings it up. What you can do with this from here on is you can use, if you like to, a glow effect, or you can play with other interesting variations, just to give you an idea what is possible. If you play with the curves and you go up with the whites and down with the blacks, you can see you can shrink that to some kind of electrical electrical thing going on there, something like that. You see that? And if you put a tint effect on that, let's go to tint, and let's say I like to tint that some kind of bluish. Here we go. And you blend that. This is what you have so far. So you got this, yeah, let's say electrical fuzzy thing there, but you can also bring this more up with the curves, something like that. So you got this effect, okay? And you can put a glow on that to even push that further. Let's do so. You can use some third parties if you have. If you don't have, you can use the standard glow effect. But let me solo that. But first of all, we want to have a look at the threshold. So we go down the threshold until, so this is what we, until we, something like there. And then we bring the radius down. So I just want to have this hard edges here, okay? And the glow intense I bring also down, something like that, okay? And then I make a copy of that second instance, and we bring the glow radius up, something like so, okay? And maybe the threshold a little bit, just a touch, okay? And then we make the third instance of that, string D on the keyboard. And now let's bring up the glow radius much more. And this is what we have now. So without the glow and with the standard glow. Looks very natural, very cool. Okay. But you can play even more if you like to. Let's make a copy of that, string D. Let me hide that for now and play with that, solo that. And what you can do after the curves, before the tint and the glow, is a CC glass effect. CC glass. So, and we bring that between the fine edges and the tint, okay? And now, if you play with the light settings, you can increase the glow. So this is much more fluffy, much more organic, okay? You can play with the surface, with the softness, to push that more to the edges or more to the borders. Yeah, something like that. Now it looks like some electric organic thing, and you can play with the height to push that in a direction, something like that, and the displacement, something like so. Okay, that's a very cool thing, and if you blend this together, it looks even more interesting. Okay, I will say okay. This is so a German thing. Sorry for that, but yeah. And as I said, if we blend that together, I just have to switch that, of course, on. So now we can see both together, and it looks very, very cool. Maybe this one is a bit too much shiny, bit too much glowy. One thing you can do is bring the opacity a bit down so that it don't blends this much. And what else can you do? Very cool stuff. For example, let's say we duplicate that one more time. Duplicate that. Let me solo that. And after all these effects, let's put a very cool one. I forgot that so often. Let's put the CC light rays underneath that, okay? And let's bring the center to the center of this effect. And let's play with the radius and with the warp softness, something around so. And let's play with the radius, something like so. Warp softness a little, touch a bit more, something like that. So that looks quite cool. You can use the color from source, and you can leave the transfer mode to add, but you could put also to screen. That depends on you. And now bring in the mask and bring the bleed, this one, the bleed 2 is number 4, as a mask, as a luma mask, and invert that. So now you have some very fancy, cool light glows out of this nebula thing. And of course, let's bring all together. This is what you have now. Very cool stuff. So, and now you can play with all these things just to give you an idea what is possible with such a easy bleed thing, animation. And yeah, hope you got a lot of fun with that. And hope you enjoyed this short one, and hope you can use that for your own projects. And hopefully we see us soon next time. My name is Oliver for TutorialPilot, and have a nice evening. We have evening. It's 19 o'clock in Germany here. Greetings. Have a nice evening. See you next time. Bye.